everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my husband Kevin and we are doing a fun video.
So your hands are freezing.
Oh yeah, I'm so cold, which is why I made myself some hot tea. Today we're going to be doing audiobook recommendations, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, but I keep putting it off because I keep thinking, well, what if I read new or listen to new audiobooks and I want to put it on the list, but eventually I just have to film it. And Kevin only listens to audiobooks, so I feel like he'll have some really good input.
I'll try. So
this list is pretty long. I kind of just came up with audiobooks that I recommend, and we've got a decent list, so let's just get started. So the first book that I always recommend on audiobook, Kevin has actually listened to the audiobook as well, and you really enjoyed it, and that is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. Obviously, I've listened and physically read these books numerous times, and they're really, really good. What did you think of the audiobook?
Well, I've only listened to the first three.
Yeah.
So shame on me.
Yeah, shame on you. Actually, shame on me.
Yeah, actually,
for not making you.
That's what I meant to say, was shame on you.
Yeah, shame on me for not making you.
But I really...
It's okay, the third one's the best anyways.
I don't even know if I finished.
We did.
I really enjoyed Harry Potter so far. I'm very much if there's a movie, I might probably just watch the movie until I started listening to audiobooks. I thought Harry Potter was really good. Everyone was always telling me the books are really different. And
yes.
Hearing it from, I think it's Jim Dale.
Yeah, we have the Jim Dale version.
Was, entertaining. Very good.
Yes, really good. Voices are fantastic. They do pronounce things differently than what I picture and then differently from the movies, but it's fine. It doesn't bother me. Harry Potter is my #1 audiobook. Well, actually, you know what? No. Yes, it's my #1 book I recommend everyone reading, but my #1 audiobook we're about to talk next. Yeah, you know which book I'm talking about. My #1 audiobook to listen to is The Illuminae Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This audiobook is so freaking cool. Well, the book itself is really, really cool. There's diagrams and there's emails and schematics and drawings and chat rooms and just really, really, really cool, just a cool format. And the audiobook has a whole cast of characters, and it's really, really cool. You only listen to the audiobook. You actually
only listen to the audiobook.
Yes, which I actually think you should go back and look at some of the things in the book, but a lot of people will listen and follow along with the book. I read the whole series, and then Kevin, you were listening to Obsidio, and I just decided to listen to Obsidio as well after I had already read it, and I don't know why I hadn't listened to the audiobook beforehand, and I need to go back and really re-listen to Illuminae and Gemini because it's so good.
I agree.
I pretty much said everything.
I think they did a really... So I had flipped through the book, but I didn't read any of it, or I didn't follow along. So I can say, having not seen the cool way that they wrote it out into transcripts and stuff, I was still able to follow that very well. So our next recommendation is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. I really liked this audiobook. I thought it was a lot of fun. When Gabby kept telling me to read it, I think I was putting this one off for a while, thinking that I wouldn't enjoy it, because she kept telling me, it's about an assassin, you'll like it. And I was like, no. Then I listened to the audiobook, and it was actually a lot of fun. Is all I remember, is that I really quickly got into the reader's pace and flow and voices and stuff. Yeah,
I agree. Actually, this was our Muggle Studies book club pick for a month some time ago. I can't remember when, but I started reading, physically reading this book, and This is adult fantasy, and the writing style is really unique and very sophisticated, and it was kind of a little bit of a learning curve to read, and there are a lot of footnotes. You'll be reading a paragraph and then there is a footnote to read in between. Like every page has these massive long footnotes, and I was having trouble going from like reading a sentence to reading the footnotes to back to where I was and continuing on with the story. And a lot of people, I feel, have that issue. So I think that if you originally tried reading Nevernight and you ended up putting it down because you just couldn't get into the story with reading it and the footnotes were kind of hard to like navigate around, then I highly recommend listening to the audiobook, because you just listen. There's no jumping around, and the footnotes just become part of the story, and you don't even notice them, and you don't have to break up your reading.
I was about to say I had no idea that there was.
Yeah, you had. Yeah, look at.
I had no idea there were footnotes.
I think the narrator does a really good job. Plus, Mr. Kindly's voice is really cool. The next book I have is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Kevin's never read this one, but I think you should. It is historical fiction set in New York City in the 1920s, and it's really, really cool. Basically, we're following a group of characters, and they all have these like unique magical abilities, and they call themselves diviners. I really enjoy the narrators. At first, the main character, Evie, she was a little bit annoying, but I actually enjoyed the narrator because Evie's supposed to be annoying. She's an annoying character. So I just love how the narrator brought that like 1920s accent in, well, what I assume, you know, but it's so good. I think she did a really good job with all of the different voices. Plus, there are so many characters in this series. There's like 9 main characters, and there's a different voice for each one, and she just did a really, really good job.
All right, so here's one that I'm recommending, and I still think that Gabby should pick up. So, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, of course, and the whole series that goes with it is a book that I really enjoyed. And I got on to this series from the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, which is another one I'm going to recommend that I wish she would read. Something I really like about the Mistborn audiobooks.
Isn't the audiobook like 50 minutes?
Well, that would be really fast. No, that's the Wheel of Time books. These are somewhere on the order of, I think, between almost 30 to almost 40 hours for some of them.
Oh, did I say 30 minutes?
You said 50 minutes.
I meant 50 hours.
Yeah. There's a ton of characters to follow, which is like one of the things I love about the books that I read, is I like having a lot of character stories, and they keep them all with good voices, and you really get into their like personas, and they do a good job of tracking each person, and there's even people that pretend to be other people, and they do the same voices for those people.
Oh.
So it's really neat. So
it's a good audiobook.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people need to be
reading it.
This has been on my TBR for like the last year, and every month I say, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna read it. Go back and rewatch all of my monthly TBRs, and Mistborn's on there. So the next book, I have not listened to the audiobook, but Kevin has, and I've read the book, and I actually listened to snippets of the audiobook. When we were in the car and your audiobook started playing, I like heard parts of it. So I got an idea of the audiobook, and I highly recommend it because I highly recommend this series, and that is the Leviathan series by Scott Westerfeld. This series is so cool. It's so good. It's steampunk, historical fiction, based off of World War I events. It is so, so, so good. And the audiobook, well, from the snippets that I heard, is really good with like the different British accents. Do they have like Austrian accents as well-ish?
I've never talked directly to an Austrian, but I assume they were
You could tell the difference between the British accent. Okay, yeah. Did you enjoy the audiobook?
Yeah. I listened straight through all the way to Goliath. That's the last one, right? Behemoth and Goliath, as soon as I got done with Leviathan, because I was too stuck in the story.
I know, it's so good.
eager to get through.
Yeah.
I like the audiobook. The voices were really good because it gave you like that next step of deep dive into the world's building, and so I had a really good picture of what the Leviathan was like when. There
are pictures.
Oh, well, I missed the picture. I had my own pictures, and see, that's not far off.
There are pictures. So I actually would recommend like going through this book as well, because there are tons of visual like pictures, drawings of like what's going on. Highly recommend listening to this one.
Next book, highly recommended to anyone, whether you read it or listen to it or watch it. Do both. Ready Player One. Definitely one
by Ernest Cline.
Oh yeah, sorry, by Ernest
okay.
Cline. Yeah, I'll even plug Armada because I enjoyed that too. But this book, really cool thought process, really cool ideas.
It's nerdy. It's a nerdy book. It's so good.
Yeah, and they pulled the audiobook off really well. Like,
it's narrated by Will Wheaton.
Yeah, which I think that probably did
yeah, so yeah, kind of sealed the deal to listen to. The next audiobook, I actually don't have a physical copy of it, so I will post a picture up right here in this corner. And that is Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. So Lauren Graham is the mom or Lorelai in Gilmore Girls, and she wrote an autobiography about her time on Gilmore Girls and like kind of like her life journey, and she narrates it, and it is so good. It's so funny. I just love like the points that she emphasized, that she wanted to emphasize. It's just so great. I don't read a lot of nonfiction, but I highly recommend this one, especially if you're a Gilmore Girls fan.
Another book that we don't have plugged in the corner on this side is The Way of Kings, so the Stormlight Archive series.
By Brandon Sanderson.
By Brandon
You keep forgetting the author. That's like a massive part.
Amazing books for me so far.
So I think
yes, please read.
No,
yeah.
This is the one where Oathbringer is like 60-something hours, isn't it?
Not quite.
Oh my god. You know, Trevor's read that book like 3 times.
Good, it's worth it.
Like back to back or something.
I kind of wish that I owned the audiobook so I could listen again.
So we get all of our audiobooks from our public library. We just we put them on hold, and you get them checked out for about 2 weeks. You get them checked out for 14 days. And it's awesome because audiobooks are very pricey, so it's a great way to just listen to audiobooks. But the Stormlight, what is it? Stormlight
Archives.
Yeah. They're always like weeks and weeks of waiting. I think constantly. Like, didn't your 2 weeks ran out and then you wanted to renew it and you had to wait like another month and a half to get it again? And it's just, they're so popular. Same with Mistborn.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's like all of Brandon Sanderson's books. It's really hard to get a hold of them from a renting or checking out perspective.
Yeah, public library, because they're just so popular and everyone's listening to them. So my last audiobook recommendation, and this is actually I think my second audiobook to have ever listened to, and the fact that it still sticks with me is really good, and that is The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. I really, really enjoyed this audiobook. This is a standalone book. This is about vampires, and basically vampires exist in the world and they are placed in these secluded, not secluded, but what's the word? I can't think of it. When something's cut off.
Quarantined?
Quarantined, okay. Yes. So they are basically these quarantined towns called cold towns where vampires are put into, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed the narrator. Like I said, the fact that it still sticks with me today, and I listened to this audiobook years ago. Like I said, it's like the second audiobook I'd ever listened to, and I really enjoyed the narrator for the main character. I enjoyed the narrator's voice for like the main vampire. Really good. Hopefully it's still good. Hopefully. I mean, I still remember loving it, so I recommend it.
Oh, wait, really? You're allowing this to go on here? I was shocked that Gabby let me put this one in here because someone has tried reading this book many times, but
I think I've read it like 3 times.
Continues to not get past probably the first 50 pages, 100 pages, 200 pages.
I think I've given it a good fair 200 pages every time.
Well, you need to finish it.
Yeah.
So, Aragon by Christopher Paolini. I read this book because I watched the movie and I was disappointed, and I went to read the book and I somehow fell in love with this 4-book series, and I've listened to it probably, for me this is a lot, for some people it's not, but I've listened to the whole series I think 3 or 4 times now.
That's a decent amount.
Over like 8 years, but...
That's still pretty good. Like, they get really chunky.
So, to me that says it's a good enough audiobook to give it a shot if you like dragons, at least. And I think the dragons have a fun... They narrate the dragons with a fun voice.
I know, this is another one I need to read. Maybe Hannah and I will make it a Muggle Studies book club
you
series.
should. Then you have to, right?
I know, right? Hannah's probably watching this video like, no.
Hey, here's some incentive. I could actually join on that one.
Unless she's already read it. Hannah, unless you've already read the series, but I don't think she has.
So we own it, and she checked it out on audiobook, and she checked out the ebook from the library. So I will give it to you. You're trying, but I have a feeling that the only person that's gonna listen to it this go around yet again is me, because I think the last 2 times that I listened to Aragon was because you checked it out and I saw it and was like, yeah, I'll listen again.
I'm trying! So that is all of our audiobook recommendations for right now. I think I want to continue doing more like audiobook recommendations, especially since you listen to so many of them. Let us know down below some of your favorite audiobooks if you have any recommendations, especially for Kevin. And that is it for this video. We really hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. Bye!